So I've had the Pimax CRYSTAL for around a week now, and I thought it would be a good idea just to make a video on a few of my initial thoughts after that time. Now, I've been experimenting with a few different things, mainly sort of seated experiences, honestly, and I'll get into more sort of stand-up and motion controller based experiences in the future as well. But for now, I just want to play the games that I want to play on this and make videos on those. And the first thing to say with this headset is that it's the clarity is really good. Now, I'm saying this from the perspective of somebody that has an RTX 3080, and if you have a better GPU, you're going to get a better experience with this. And that's the main thing to say. I'm not saying that you can't really sort of get something out of this headset with a lower end GPU like a 2080 or a 2080 Ti. I think you will have to make compromises, as I'm making on my 3080 as well. But at the same time, you could probably make those compromises and still have a pretty good experience. But of course, with a headset like this, with this resolution, then the higher performance that you can get out of it, the higher you can push that resolution up to native resolution, then the better experience you're going to get. There's a few things to address as well though, and the first thing is it's pretty bulky, it's pretty heavy, but at the same time, I've been in this headset for around an hour and 15 minutes, I think I timed myself for. I don't usually spend that long in VR in one play session, and I think probably the most I would do is around an hour and a half, 2 hours. I have been in for many hours more than that, but generally I would say, you know, an hour and a half is the most I would go to. And playing this for around 1 hour and 15 minutes, I didn't notice any discomfort that I can really report. And honestly, it's a bit confusing to me why I can't do that, because it is heavy and it is bulky. And also, I think part of it comes down to just the initial way you place it on your head. It takes a few attempts to really get it dialed in, for me at least. Getting the sweet spot in the lenses and things like that can take a while, honestly. But once it's there and once I've tightened it up, then it makes a big difference. And, you know, it doesn't really move too much. It feels pretty good. But I will say that the stock facial interface that comes with it, which I've got here actually. So this is the stock one. It's sort of thin and small, and then you also get the larger one, which I've got on the headset now. It's similar to the other Pimax headsets, so it goes over the forehead a little bit more, and that improves comfort far more. That's the main thing I would say about this headset, really, in terms of negatives. It is the weight, but I can't really complain too much because the comfort is fine for me from what I've played so far. Now, I'll report back on that a little bit more as we go through. The setup process as well was very easy. I didn't have any issues with that. I've not really got anything to say. One thing I did want to mention actually on this video is something I forgot to mention in my initial first impressions with this headset. I did notice a little bit of tracking latency. At least that's what I think it was. It's really difficult because it only lasted for like an hour, and I took a break and then I came back and everything has been fine since then. But it was almost as if just with rotational tracking and up and down, you know, rotational 3DOF kind of tracking, the one that relies on the IMUs within the headset, it felt a little bit like there was a slight delay. And somebody actually mentioned this as well in the comments to one of my videos on the Pimax. So yeah, I just wanted to bring this up, but at the same time it did resolve itself. And also I'm starting to think, because it was so subtle and so slight, I'm starting to think maybe it was me getting used to the headset, and the slight sway of that weight on my head was just different to some of the other headsets I've used recently. So I don't know, but what I can say is that the games and experiences that I've been playing recently, Elite Dangerous, Project Cars 2, Microsoft Flight Simulator, all have no issues at all with that problem that I initially had. But I want to get into more active kind of games, more stand-up motion controller based games, in order to test that a little bit more. The build quality of the headset is also pretty good to me. I mean, I think this feels perfectly fine. You know, you're getting a plastic VR headset. the same that we're used to many times, but it doesn't feel like it's cheap or anything like that. So build quality is perfectly fine. Audio solution is fantastic. The microphone, you might have noticed in some of my videos, the microphone does pop a little bit now and again. And actually, I should also mention that part of my videos have also had a fan on. So I've had a fan pointing at me while I've been making some of these videos because it's been hot over here in the UK. And so I need that when I'm playing a little bit of VR. But so you've got a little bit of air going over the microphone as I'm talking as well in a lot of the videos that I've been doing. But I don't think that's the only cause of the pop-in and things like that with the microphone. So I would still say that the Valve Index overall has a better microphone system. You know, it's pretty much flawless, the Valve Index microphone. But the actual audio itself, the output is incredibly good. Very similar to Valve Index. It's off ear, very loud, really good bass tones as well. So yeah, I've really not got any complaints about that side of things. But the one thing I want to get across in this video, and I'll end it here actually, I don't want to stay too long on this because this is just after a week of use. But one of the things that is jumping out at me with this headset is that to me it feels like a great seated VR game experience. And I mentioned this on the Recenter podcast as well. When I first played it for around, 24 hours, the thing that was jumping out at me was the fact that this was great at seated games. And, it's not like you can't play motion controller based games as well, or standing games and things like that. But I'm just saying that the thing that's jumping out at me is it's so well suited to things like Elite Dangerous, sim-based gaming, Microsoft Flight Simulator, races and stuff like that. And it's not just because it's bulky or it's heavy or anything like that, because the comfort really doesn't bother me at this point. But it's more just the fidelity and dialing in stuff. And maybe it's more just because these are the types of games and experiences that I really want to dive into. When I've got a high resolution, high spec headset like this, those are the kinds of things I want to dive into. And this is why I need to get back into some motion controller based, standing more active games in order to try to get a more balanced overall impression of it. But to me, this is a sim gaming headset, and that's the thing that's jumping out at me. So I want to make it that clear at this stage, and my opinion could change on that as well anytime. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, this surprised me. This is my favorite Pimax headset that I've used. I've used a 5K Plus, an 8KX, which I actually liked. I didn't like the 5K Plus, I really didn't. The distortion, various things with that headset. It felt very, the build quality wasn't great and stuff, but that was many years ago. The 8KX was a good headset, but it just wasn't suited to me, and I'll recommend you watching my review on that because I go into that a lot more. If you've got an IPD which is sort of 63 or less, that headset might not be suitable for you. But I'll go into a lot of detail on that with my video on the 8KX. The Pimax CRYSTAL, is the best Pimax headset I've used so far. So it's got some criticism, and honestly, before I got this, I was fully expecting to think, it's a good headset, but it's got all of these problems. I'm struggling because it doesn't bother me. There are some problems, but there's nothing that's really jumping out at me that's saying this is a bad headset at all, and I'm really enjoying my time, especially with Elite Dangerous. So yeah, that's 1 week. We'll revisit this in a few weeks and see how we're getting on. It's limited, it's hot over here in the UK, so I'm struggling in order to get into VR at the moment, but I'm going to carry on playing with it and see how it progresses in terms of like the types of experience that I'm playing. I feel like I've been a little bit cornered. I've cornered myself really in the types of things that I'm really focusing on in playing with this headset, and I want to get into some more diverse titles. So I'll report back anyway, and we'll see from that. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.